My sister let her kids humiliate my son at a school concert and told me not to overreact. That night, I reviewed one file. At 6:13 a.m., she texted, "Why does the principal want to see me?" Oh, my God, you won't believe what happened. The moment I saw it, a cold dread hit me, like a punch to the gut. It wasn't just a poster, it was a cruel, public humiliation of my son, orchestrated by my own sister and her kids. And that's when I realized I had been paying for this betrayal for years. My name's Ian, I'm 36, and honestly, my life is usually pretty quiet. I'm a numbers guy for a small nonprofit, funding arts programs. It's not flashy, but I love clean spreadsheets and clear rules. My real job, though? Single dad to Noah, my incredible 8-year-old. He's got this green stuffed dinosaur he sleeps with, and when he's nervous, he sings. He sings his little heart out. Friday night was Noah's big moment, the spring concert. The school cafeteria always smells like floor wax and cheap popcorn, with folding chairs scraping across the linoleum. Parents, phones held high like tiny, glowing moons, were ready. The banner above the stage, spelling out "Let your voice be heard," had letters that drooped a bit, just like Noah's chin sometimes when he pushed too hard. He had a short solo, just 8 bars. He'd practiced it at our kitchen table until his throat got tight, until the notes cracked and he cried. I'd always tell him, crying is allowed, buddy. It means you care. We keep going anyway. My sister, Julia, was 2 rows ahead, her blazer looking expensive in that way you're supposed to notice. Her daughters, Ava and Mia, were front and center in the choir, because of course they were. They're the little stars, people say, like it's their brand. The lights dimmed. Miss Porter, the choir director, beamed her bright, perfect smile. We're so proud, she chirped into the mic. Everyone clapped, even though nothing had happened yet. The kids shuffled on stage. Noah, from the risers, searched the crowd for me, and I gave him our practice thumbs up. He took a deep breath. Then, in the back of the room, like some sick, terrible magic trick, 2 neon pink poster boards rose up. Black block letters. Clean lines. The kind of perfect, deliberate handwriting you get with a ruler. Crying is not singing. Held high. Held by my nieces. Held directly behind my son. For a second, my brain just froze. It didn't compute. And then the sound hit. A quick burst of laughter. That horrible, infectious kind of laughter. A dad snorted. A kid whispered, "Look." A mom actually tilted her phone to get the sign in frame. And then Miss Porter looked up. She smiled. Not a big smile. Just a twitch at the corner of her mouth, like an approval stamp. Noah missed his cue by a beat. He swallowed. He tried again. The first note wobbled, like a bicycle tire over gravel. But he kept going. I sat absolutely still, my body rigid. Because I know how this game works. If I stand up, I'm making a scene. If I stay, my kid is alone in this. Julia leaned back, just enough for her sickeningly sweet perfume to waft over me. Come on, she whispered, her voice laced with mock concern. It's just a joke. Don't overreact. Her teeth flashed, a predatory gleam. I felt something cold and hard lock in my jaw. Noah finished. Polite applause. Programs rustled. The sign dipped out of sight, like a trap door closing on a nightmare. I watched my kids search for me again. I forced my face to be soft, clapped, mouthed, "Good job." But inside, I wanted to tear cardboard with my bare teeth. Afterward, the hallway was a crush of kids in white shirts and black shoes. I found Noah, and he pressed his forehead into my chest for half a second. He was recharging. Did you see the sign? He asked, his voice tiny. I saw you, I said, holding him tight. And I heard you. He nodded, wanting to believe it. Maybe that was enough. Julia floated over, phone still up. Ava and Mia crushed it, she announced to no one in particular. Then, to Noah, "Good job, buddy." And to me, her voice light and kind, the way you talk to a dog you don't want to jump. seriously, don't make this a thing. I smiled. It felt like glass cracking. We went home. Noah fell asleep, his dinosaur tucked under his chin. I stood in the kitchen, the crumpled program in my fist, listening to the fridge hum. No yelling. No texts. No forms. Just a quiet I hadn't felt in a long time. The kind of quiet right before you finally draw a line that should have been drawn years ago. Because that joke? It wasn't random. It was the last beat on a very long, very painful string. Julia and I grew up in a house where don't overreact meant don't make me look at what I did. If she teased and I protested, I was sensitive. If I went quiet, she won. Our parents loved peace, and peace meant I swallowed it. I became useful early. After Dad left, I handled bills, fixed the sink, worked 2 jobs. Julia? She was the fun one. She lights up a room. She has a sparkle. Me? I was the steady one. He'll figure it out. When Julia had Ava and Mia, useful became a permanent job description. Uncle Ian the lifesaver, she'd coo, then put me on every autopay. It's just until I get ahead, she'd promise. Piano lessons, voice lessons, gymnastics, competition shoes, matching hair bows that cost more than Noah's sneakers. If I hesitated, Mom would sigh, she's raising 2 girls, Ian. You know how hard that is. If I said yes, I got a thumbs up emoji in the family chat, and a bill the next week. I work at a non-profit that gives micro grants for arts programs. I know process. Conflict of interest, transparency, receipts. I'm the guy who emails the school PDA treasurer for their 990s. I follow process because process keeps people honest. Julia loved that I did money. She said it like I carried a portable bank. Can you just submit that reimbursement for me? Ugh, the forms. Can't you shuffle the PDA budget to cover the risers? You know how to make numbers behave. The girl's teacher takes Venmo now. Just throw it on yours. I'll square up. She never, ever squared up. I told myself it wasn't for her. It was for the kids. I told myself Noah would benefit, too. I was building a school where art mattered. And he did, in tiny ways, new markers, a better keyboard. But every time the month ran tight, and Noah asked about guitar lessons, and I had to say, maybe in summer, something inside me pinched. There were other things, too. The subtle stuff that molds in the corners. At rehearsal, when Noah cried once because the room felt like too many eyes, Miss Porter called it a learning opportunity about resilience. But when Ava skipped a run-through for a smoothie, it was self-care. When Mia rolled her eyes at a classmate's off-keynote, Miss Porter laughed, "You're not wrong, sweetie." Kids repeat what they hear. A boy in Noah's class even told him, "My mom says you're too emotional for choir." Noah looked at his shoes when he told me, his voice flat. I said the grown-up thing, sometimes people repeat things that aren't true, but I wanted to scream into a pillow. The sign had a prequel. 2 weeks before the concert, Julia texted a photo of glitter and markers. Poster time, she wrote, with 10 sparkles. Raising women who speak their minds. The corner of a neon pink board peeked out. I sent a thumbs up. I didn't zoom in. 3 nights. Before the concert, Noah cried at dinner because he missed the high note. He was alone in our kitchen, hugging his dinosaur with one arm, singing with the other. I could hear his small voice trying to be brave. I couldn't hear anything funny about it. Money wrapped itself around all of this like ivy. Every month, my bank app showed the story, $85 a week to a vocal coach Miss P recommended for Ava and Mia, $38 a month for a keyboard rental at Julia's house because their old one was too plasticky, $150 for its spring clinic everyone was doing, $60 for costumes because the first black shoes were the wrong black. $200 for a regional trip because it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, Ian, and you work for an arts nonprofit. You of all people should get it. Meanwhile, Noah and I shared Netflix with commercials. I'd tell him, commercials build character. When I told Mom any of this, she'd tilt her head and say the sentence she saved for me, "You're so good with money, Ian." You can handle it. It sounded like praise. It was a leash. You might ask, why didn't you just say no? I did sometimes, in tiny ways, the kind that don't stick. I paused one autopay for a month, and Julia called, crying that the coach had humiliated her in front of the other moms by asking about payment. I put the plan back on. I told myself I was protecting the girls from adult mess, even if that adult mess kept walking into the room wearing a blazer and lip gloss. Then this year, Noah wanted voice lessons of his own. He asked softly, like a kid trained to read the room. If we can't, he said, it's okay. I said, we'll see. I meant it, but I also didn't know how, because savings only stretch so far when you're the safety net for a household that isn't yours. That night after the concert, when the house got quiet and the dinosaur snored against Noah's cheek, I stood at the sink. And I understood the thing I'd been pretending not to know. I was paying for children who had learned that my kids' fear was a joke. And I was paying the salary of the joke. Morning came, and it made me bolder. Maybe it was sleep. Maybe it was rage with a seatbelt on. I made oatmeal with the extra cinnamon Noah likes. He hummed the melody under his breath, testing a note like you test a loose tooth. My phone buzzed on the counter. Then again. Then again. I flipped it over. Julia, why is the principal asking to meet with me? Julia, answer your phone. Julia, if you did something over a joke, you've lost it. I scrolled to last night's photo, the neon letters, my son's head right in front of them. I sent it. 3 words under it. I remembered the sign. Dots. Then a flood. Julia, you're unbelievable. Julia, you could have talked to me. Julia, are you trying to get my daughters suspended? Me, I'm trying to keep my son safe. 30 seconds. Then my mother jumped in, like a ref who missed the first half. Mom, Ian, call your sister. This is a misunderstanding. Me, the misunderstanding is over. The school email came at 8:11 a.m. Parent meeting, incident at spring concert. Principal Chavez. Miss Porter. Me. A separate thread confirmed Julia's slot an hour later, which told me what I needed to know. They weren't going to let her steer this with volume. I dropped Noah off with friends for Minecraft and walked into a room that smelled like whiteboard markers. Dr. Chavez had the posture of a person who has diffused many ridiculous adult fires. Miss Porter looked small, in a way she never looks on stage. Mr. Hale, thank you for coming, Dr. Chavez said. I read your report. I slid my phone across the table. This is what my son was looking at. Miss Porter winced. I didn't read it from where I was, she said fast. You smiled, I said. Color rose in her cheeks. It was a nervous reaction, she mumbled. Dr. Chavez didn't waste time. Were students told not to bring signs? Yes, Miss Porter said. Were the students holding the sign reminded after the number? She said after, I repeated, my voice steady. Dr. Chavez looked at me. I'm sorry this happened. We'll address it under our policy. I don't want public shaming, I said. I want adults to act like adults. We will, he said. It was a promise, not a performance. We discussed practical things. Seating changes at lunch for a week. A counselor check-in. An alternate rehearsal space if Noah wanted it. When we were done, Miss Porter asked, quietly, does Noah still want to sing at the end of your assembly? He does, I said. But he doesn't want a mic right up in his face. She nodded. We can do that. I stepped into the hallway and met Julia coming down it like a storm front. Sunglasses on top of her head, phone in hand like a weapon. You, she hissed. What did you say? They used the word policy with me like I'm a criminal. The principal will explain, I said. You filed a report. She planted herself in front of me. Over a poster. They didn't even put his name on it. They didn't need to, I said. They stood behind him. It was funny, she said, finally dropping the nice voice. Everyone laughed. Even Miss Porter. Everyone didn't, I said. And even if they did, jokes only count when everyone's laughing. You think you're better because you pay for everything? She snapped, her voice rising. Because you sit on your little board and sign checks? You think that makes you a father? He's soft, Ian. I'm trying to teach him. Don't talk about my son like that, I said. Calm. Not loud. Not ever again. She leaned in, her voice dropping, searching for a bruise. You're nothing without us. The school listens to me. People like me. People like you, I repeated. Got it. She flung open the conference room door. It hit the stopper with a bang. They'll see through you, she threw over her shoulder. They always do. I exhaled. I felt the floor under my shoes. Solid. From the parking lot, the family group chat lit up like a pinball machine. Mom, Ian, your sister is devastated. Auntie, what happened? I heard some crazy story. Julia, he filed a police report. She didn't know the difference, or didn't care. Julia, he wants my girls expelled. Not true. I attached one photo, the sign. No caption. Then I did the thing that terrified me and also set me free. I opened my personal spreadsheet, took a screenshot of the totals, names blacked out, and posted that, too. Me, 12 months, $7,842 to your kids' lessons, rentals, clinics, costumes. Years before that, too. This ends today. Not to punish. To protect. Silence. Then the pivot I knew would come. Julia, what will happen to us? Not the girls. Us. Me, you'll parent your kids. I'll parent mine. At 6:13 a.m. the next day, another text from Julia. Why is the principal asking to meet with me? I sent the screenshot again and wrote, I remembered the sign. Then I put my phone on Do Not Disturb and made pancakes shaped like dinosaurs, because Noah thinks that's hilarious. Consequences arrived like weather fronts. Some fast, some slow. The school moved first. Ava and Mia met with the counselor. They wrote apology notes. One was a single sentence with a smiley face. The other said, we didn't think. Noah folded them both once, put them in his backpack. And didn't bring them up again. I didn't make him. Dr. Chavez sent a message to the choir list, no signs at performances. We aimed for an inclusive environment. It was bland on purpose. But at the next rehearsal, I watched Miss Porter stop a snicker with one look and say, we are here to support each other, and mean it. She crouched to Noah's height later and said, you have a beautiful tone. He stared at the floor and nodded. Trust takes longer than an email. The PTA president called to make sure I hadn't used my nonprofit role to target a family. I invited her to the office. I printed policies. I showed recusal forms. I opened the ledger. If there's a line I shouldn't have touched, I said, flag it. She couldn't. We added new guardrails anyway. No officers submit reimbursements for family. No autopays to members. Everything through official email. Boring fixes that matter. Money changed the house most. The minute I stopped funding a second family, my life got quiet. The first month, I had enough left to sign Noah up for a beginner voice class with a gentleman named Mr. Lee. He tapped a pencil to help with rhythm and said, the note is a place you land, not a cliff. Noah loved him. He practiced without crying. When his voice cracked, he laughed. I did, too. We bought a used karaoke mic for the living room. We ate burritos on Tuesdays and made a rule, whoever hit the high note got the last bite of guacamole. He usually won. I let him. Julia did what Julia does. Facebook posts about weaponizing bureaucracy. Instagram stories with Bible verses about forgiveness. A long text to me that began, "You have always resented me," and ended, "You destroyed my daughter's dreams." I blocked her for a week and slept through the night for the first time in months. The practical hits piled up on her end. The coach emailed for payment. The rental company sent a past due notice. The music app stopped working on her phone. She texted, "You're really doing this to them?" I replied, "I stopped doing this for you." A cousin messaged me privately, "I thought you were stingy. Now I see they used you." That one I read twice. Not everyone approved. My mother called every few days with new angles. "You've divided the family. This is not what your father would want. Money shouldn't be a weapon." I said the same thing each time, "It's not a weapon. It's a boundary." She asked to meet alone. We sat in a diner with sticky menus. "Your sister is hurt," she started. "So is my kid," I said. "I'm not excusing the sign," she said, like swallowing something sharp. It was wrong. But cutting them off, the timing. The timing, I said, was when I finally noticed I was paying for what hurt my son. "You've always been so generous," she said. "I still am," I said. "Just not in ways that teach Noah I'll fund his humiliation." She stirred tea she didn't drink. "You've changed." "I stopped pretending," I said. When the bill came, I paid, not because I always do, but because I wanted to leave that conversation clean. At school, small votes of confidence showed up quietly. A dad I barely knew said, "Good for you." A mom told me she told her son that if he ever held a sign like that, he'd lose his phone for a month. Another said, "We saw." I'm sorry. None of it fixes everything, but it told me I wasn't crazy. 2 weeks later, Miss Porter asked if Noah still wanted the assembly solo. She didn't ask me. She asked him directly. He said yes, but no microphone in my face. She said, "Okay." He practiced with Mr. Lee and made a face at his own reflection when he hit the note clean. He called it his soft landing. The assembly was a Tuesday morning. The gym was too bright. I stood in the back because you can breathe better there. No signs, just phones. Before the first song, Dr. Chavez said, "Every student deserves to feel safe when they share their voice." It hung in the air like a new rule. Noah sang his 8 bars. His voice wobbled once, then steadied. He didn't look for me until the end. When he did, he didn't ask. He knew. We got mint chip ice cream afterward, even though it was 9:45 a.m. He went to school with green teeth and a smile. On the way home, my phone buzzed with a number I didn't have. "Hi," the text said. "I'm Mia's friend's mom. I just wanted to say thank you for speaking up. My daughter thinks crying is weak. Last week, she told me she tried to hold her breath to stop tears. Your son singing, anyway, helped. I didn't post that. I didn't send it to the group chat. I just read it 3 times and put the phone face down on the counter and stood there for a minute, breathing like I'd been running and finally stopped. Here's what I know now, in the plainest words I can manage. If you call cruelty a joke, you get to keep doing it. The laugh is the permission slip. If you pay for the joke, you become part of the punchline. I spent years being useful in the wrong direction. I told myself I was helping kids. I was. But I was also making it easy for an adult to be lazy with love and loud with blame. The sign didn't start that. It only made it impossible to lie to myself about it. Ending it didn't require a speech. It required a form, a screenshot, a canceled autopay, and one decision I keep making each morning: my kid goes first. Julia and I don't talk now. That might change. It might not. Her daughters are fine. They still sing. They still roll their eyes at everything. I hope they learn that clever can be kind. If they don't, I hope someone else draws a line sooner than I did. Miss Porter watches the room differently. She stops small meannesses before they get big. I don't need her to like my son. I need her to be the adult in the room. She can do that. Dr. Chavez already does. The PDA added boring rules that will outlast our drama and help a kid whose dad doesn't work with spreadsheets. That matters more than any apology ever will. My mother still wants a version of together that means I pay and shut up. I told her what together looks like at my table: no jokes that land on kids. No guilt disguised as tradition. No bills slid under my door with a "you know how it is." If we can do that, we can share holidays. If we can't, we won't. The world won't end. It'll just be quieter. Noah still cries sometimes when he practices. Sometimes I do, too, at the sink with the water running. Crying didn't ruin his voice. It taught him where the air is. He knows how to breathe. That's what singing is. Breathing on purpose. Last week, he asked, out of nowhere, "Do you remember the sign?" "I remember everything," I said. He nodded. "I don't think about it when I sing now." That's the win. Not that I won a group chat argument. Not that someone I'll never meet texted thanks. The win is an 8-year-old boy opening his mouth in a loud room and letting something honest out without flinching. Because the person who loves him most chose him over politeness, over peace, over being liked. Crying is not singing, the poster said. Here's the reply I'm teaching him: crying isn't singing, and it isn't not singing. It's a human being telling the truth about how hard it is to be brave sometimes. The sound that matters is the one you make after, the one you make because someone held the line for you while you found it. I will not be the bank that buys my son's shame. I will not let "don't overreact" talk me out of protecting him. I will keep paying for what builds him. I will stop paying for what breaks him. The only sign I keep now is on a sticky note, in wobbling pencil, on our fridge: "Dad, crying is okay. Singing is too." That's the policy. That's the budget. That's the whole story.